The behemoth of a NAS that I have next to me here is the QNAP TS-877. The first thing you'll notice about it is probably its large size and then this sticker right here. That sticker says AMD and Ryzen. Yes, this is a Ryzen powered NAS and it's not any baby Ryzen 1200s, it is a Ryzen 1700 or 1600 depending on which model you get. Now that is impressive considering that most of the QNAP NASs that I've looked at, in fact most of the even sort of SMB and consumer NASs that I've looked at have been generally pretty slow Intel, you know, Atoms and Celerons and stuff like that. So to see a high-end Ryzen is pretty awesome. The model that I have is the 1700, comes with 16 gigs of DDR4 ECC kind of UDIM memory, and actually this NAS has a lot of room to upgrade. The first thing I'm going to talk through is the front, so let's go through that. Starting at the top, on the left-hand side, you have two 2.5-inch SSD bays. These are pretty easy and toolless to install, so that's always nice to see. These can be used obviously for hard drives or more likely SSD caching and acceleration, which is obviously awesome. Just next to that, you have a display which talks you through kind of the main things like your IP addresses for your different LANs that you can see at the back, as well as a few other sort of basic settings for things like network configuration if you need to change anything specifically on the NAS before getting it connected over the kind of your local network. Just below that, you have 6 3.5-inch drive bays. These are also toolless if you're using full 3.5-inch drives, but can accommodate 2.5-inch drives as well with some screws in the bottom. Each of the drives that you can see here also has a status indicator LEDs next to their sort of HDD1, HDD2 kind of nameplates, which you can see when drives are active. You also have 2 indicator LEDs for the 2 available M.2 slots inside the NAS. These are a bit more kind of difficult to get to, but generally speaking, once you get in there, you have 2 M.2 slots available, which I believe can run all the way up to 22,110 or possibly even a bit bigger, but the standard M.2 drive is 2280 and you can install those just fine and fits a number of different sizes. I would also mention that not only are these directly below the sort of intake for the 2 large blower fans, they also include large, very kind of tall heat sinks that clamp on with some kind of thermal pads on the bottom. So if you want to keep your M.2 drives nice and cool, that's kind of an option with this NAS. On the back of the NAS, starting at the bottom, we have an SFX power supply. It is a slightly custom one, so bear that in mind if you do want to upgrade in the future, as there's a few custom connections inside, but otherwise it is a standard SFX kind of at least sized power supply anyway. And also you have up to 5 USB 3 ports, which is kind of crazy. One USB 3.1 Type A and another Type C, as well as 4 gigabit Ethernet ports and a few audio connections as well. You also have a couple of, I think, like 80mm fans on the back, a large side of ventilation, and at the top you have a total of 2 full-size PCIe slots and 2 half-height PCIe slots. Now this is actually where this NAS gets the most interesting for me. When you take off the cover, you can see at the top you have a large space for a full-sized double slot graphics card with an X16 slot. Now that slot is XA electrically, but you do actually have an 8-pin and a 6-pin PCIe power from the power supply, which is awesome to see. And on the other side of the motherboard, you have 2 half-height 4X slots, which is awesome to see. Now what would you put in those slots? Well, kind of stuff like this. This is an ASUS 10 gigabit network card. This one's 10 gigabit Ethernet. This is the XG C100C. It's actually amazing value for money. You can definitely check them out, but this is the sort of card, while I don't currently have the half-height bracket on it, it comes with it in the box and it's nice and easy to install. And while I wouldn't necessarily recommend exactly this one unless you only need to connect to 1 or 2 kind of 10 gig computers, you can get multi-NICs even with these half-height slots, which means that you can connect a good number of 10 gigabit connections or even go with something like a fiber card. Now the graphics card slot, it seems to, at least on QNAP's website anyway, only list NVIDIA cards as compatible, and it looks like, at least in terms of software, it's only the NVIDIA drivers that you can download for the NAS on the QTS operating system, so bear that in mind if you're planning on picking up this NAS. Sadly you can't do a Vega or upcoming Navi card, at least for the time being. Now the software that they use on the NAS is the standard QTS operating system. It does have a few tweaks for things like the virtualization station, container station, and Linux station for effectively multiple ways to add virtualization to the NAS, and of course you do have a little bit more power available available here than most QNAP NASs, so that's great to see. You do also have things like their AI kind of deep learning type stuff, which is kind of interesting to see, and again can make use of the graphics card that you can add in here, or also the relatively high power CPU. But overall, I don't see that many changes, and I don't see that many implementations for the graphics card or the high power CPU, so just bear that in mind when you're picking this up. Now, of course, one of the main reasons that you pick up a NAS this powerful would be something like virtualization. So I did try out the Linux station, where without a graphics card installed, you can easily run a Linux Ubuntu VM, which is cool to see. It just downloads an Ubuntu image and then runs it as a virtual machine over VNC and just does it all through the web browser, which is pretty nice. But with the virtualization station, you can use full IO-MMU pass-through to your graphics card. The only downside to that is if you are using a graphics card and using full IO-MMU pass-through, you have to have a monitor, keyboard and mouse directly connected to the NAS to make use of it. Now, I don't know whether this is the same thing with the container station, which I believe you can still do full IO-MMU pass-through to that, but it seems like a bit of a limitation and something that most servers don't deal with, so bear that in mind when you're looking at the NAS. Now, here's the real kicker. The price for this NAS, at least at the time of filming in the UK, is just over £2,000. Bearing in mind that you don't get a graphics card, and of course, as with all NASs, unless you get it in a specific bundle, it's completely driverless besides the Pacer flash storage that's in there. So otherwise, basically all you're buying is a case, a power supply, a motherboard, a cooler, a Ryzen 1700, and 16 gigs of ECC RAM. If you add all of those up at sort of general market rates right now, you're probably talking about no more than £600 at the time of filming, which means that essentially you're paying for a lot of convenience here in the QNAP or QTS operating system and things like your easily accessible drive bays. Now, of course, I'll leave it up to you if it's worth possibly 4 times the price of the actual hardware itself for that convenience, but generally speaking, it is actually a fairly well-refined experience. The NAS was actually ridiculously quiet, which is great to see. The temperatures overall were very impressive, although I haven't been running it with a sort of full suite of drives, so take that with a bit of pinch of salt, but generally speaking, it was a very refined experience on the hardware side, and in terms of the software side of things, it is definitely easier than something like FreeNAS, which is something I'm running personally on my own Ryzen, kind of home-built NAS if you like, but at the same time there are definitely some trade-offs that you're getting here, mainly the cost, also a few sort of feature set availability things which, well, with FreeNAS you can obviously just set up a jail or a VM and then just run everything you like, whereas with this it seems to be a little bit more complicated to do things like IO-MMU pass-through properly, and there's a few things that I really don't see much value in having a graphics card and a high-end, 8-core 16-thread CPU in here if the options that they have available don't really make use of them. So just bear that in mind if you are planning on picking one up. Now, would I put this on my desk? Would I put this in my kind of server cupboard? Well, personally, I probably would. It's a pretty nice configuration. As I said, it's a fairly well-refined experience, and it's a little bit easier to use than FreeNAS, but if you are an IT pro, especially if you're in a small medium business, which is what this is aimed at, then generally speaking I can't overly recommend it to you unless you really want the convenience of the QTS operating system and the kind of front-loaded drive bays and stuff like that. Overall, I would generally recommend, especially for this sort of price point, either building it yourself or going with a more custom server solution with more custom server hardware that will possibly either perform a bit better or at very least have more software functionality for you. But with that said, the QTS operating system does have a lot of things like your kind of web servers, SQL Server, PHP, MyAdmin, and all that good stuff. So there is a lot of kind of business availability with it, but I don't know that you're really getting the most out of the hardware with the QTS operating system. So there you have it. That is my thoughts. I would love to hear yours in the comments down below. Are you from a small medium business and looking to pick one of these up and you have a bit of a change of heart, or are you just watching this video because, cool, a Ryzen NAS? Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. If you'd like to check out the price when and where you watch this, I'll do my best to leave an accurate link in the description down below to your local Amazon store. store. It may be a little bit different. There is also a Ryzen 1600 with 8 gigs of RAM version available, so bear that one in mind as you're looking yourself. And otherwise, of course, if you want to support the channel, there are plenty of links in the description, from merch to Patreon, also the Amazon and Overclocked UK affiliate links. Of course, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications, and otherwise that is pretty much it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. You can check out some other videos over here. Otherwise, thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you all in the next video.